The early 20th century was a turbulent time for North Africa, as European powers sought to tighten their grip on the region. But one man defied them all: Abdelkrim El Khattabi, the Rifian warrior who led one of the most remarkable guerrilla wars in history. His name became legendary, not only in Morocco but across the world, inspiring anti-colonial movements from Vietnam to Algeria. If you enjoy history and want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment to support the channel. Early life: born in 1882 in Ajdir, a small village in the Rif Mountains of northern Morocco, Mohammed Abdelkrim El Khattabi grew up in a region known for its fierce independence. His father, Abdelkrim El Khattabi, was a respected qadi, judge, of the Eight Oriagal tribe, one of the most powerful Berber tribes in the Rif. From an early age, Abdelkrim was immersed in both traditional Islamic education and modern studies. He studied at the prestigious Qarawiyyin University in Fez before moving to Melilla, where he worked as a journalist and later as a teacher and judge under Spanish administration. This experience gave him first-hand insight into the colonial system he would later fight against. The Spanish and French occupation. By the early 20th century, Spain and France had divided Morocco into spheres of influence, with Spain controlling the rugged Rif region. The Spanish military underestimated the local Berber tribes, believing they could easily dominate them. However, they had not accounted for Abdelkrim's deep knowledge of European politics, warfare, and law. The Rif War begins. In 1921, tensions between the Rifians and the Spanish exploded into full-scale war. Spain launched a massive military campaign, sending thousands of troops deep into Rifian territory. However, under Abdelkrim's command, the Rifians used guerrilla tactics, leveraging their superior knowledge of the mountainous terrain. The result was one of the most humiliating defeats for a colonial power: the Battle of Annual. More than 13,000 Spanish soldiers were slaughtered, and their commander, General Manuel Fernandez Silvestre, committed suicide in disgrace. Tactical brilliance and guerrilla warfare. Abdelkrim's military genius lay in his ability to adapt and innovate. He established a disciplined army with modern tactics, something unheard of among tribal forces. His strategies included ambush warfare. Rifian fighters would set up hidden positions in narrow mountain passes, allowing enemy forces to advance before launching sudden, devastating attacks. These ambushes often left entire Spanish battalions in disarray. Decentralized command. Rather than relying on a single, vulnerable command structure, Abdelkrim's forces operated in small mobile units that could act independently. This made it nearly impossible for the Spanish and French to eliminate the resistance in one decisive battle. Hit-and-run tactics. Instead of engaging in prolonged battles, Rifian forces would strike swiftly and withdraw before enemy reinforcements could arrive, exhausting the Spanish troops and forcing them into a defensive posture. Psychological warfare. By spreading rumors, false movements, and misinformation, Abdelkrim kept the enemy uncertain about his true strength and intentions, increasing their fear and paranoia. Use of trenches and fortifications. Unlike traditional tribal warfare, Abdelkrim implemented defensive structures, making it harder for European forces to advance. He used camouflage and well-hidden bunkers to minimize the effect of artillery bombardments. Supply line disruption. His fighters targeted enemy supply chains, cutting off essential food, water, and ammunition shipments to isolated Spanish garrisons, forcing them to surrender or retreat. Weapons capture and adaptation. Abdelkrim's forces scavenged and repurposed captured Spanish artillery, rifles, and machine guns. His engineers even managed to repair and modify European weapons for use against their original owners. The Rif Republic. A dream of independence. Abdelkrim wasn't just a warrior, he was a visionary. In 1923, he declared the short-lived Republic of the Rif, the first independent Berber state in modern history. Unlike traditional tribal rule, Abdelkrim sought to create a centralized government with its own currency, administrative structures, and schools. He promoted education, modernized agriculture, and introduced new forms of governance that blended Islamic principles with modern administrative techniques. The fall of the Rifian resistance. The success of the Rif Republic alarmed both Spain and France. In 1925, they set aside their rivalries and launched a joint invasion, deploying over 500,000 troops, tanks, heavy artillery, and even poison gas, one of the first large-scale uses of chemical warfare. The Spanish and French bombarded Rifian villages with mustard gas, causing horrific casualties among civilians. Against such overwhelming force, the Rifian resistance crumbled. In May 1926, Abdelkrim surrendered to the French to prevent further suffering for his people. Exile and final years. Rather than executing him, the French exiled Abdelkrim to Réunion, a remote island in the Indian Ocean. He remained there for 20 years, refusing to fade into obscurity. During his exile, he remained politically active, corresponding with nationalist leaders and advocating for the independence of Morocco and other colonized nations. In 1947, during a transfer to France, he managed to escape in Egypt, where he was granted asylum. He settled in Cairo, where he became a key figure in the pan-Arab and anti-colonial movements. He worked closely with the Arab League, advising resistance leaders from Algeria, Tunisia, and beyond. His home in Cairo became a meeting point for revolutionaries, including leaders of the Algerian FLN, who later fought for Algeria's independence from France. Legacy: Abdelkrim El Khattabi died in Cairo in 1963, but his legacy endures. His guerrilla tactics influenced leaders like Ho Chi Minh, Che Guevara, and the Algerian FLN. The lessons from the Rif War were studied by military strategists worldwide, proving that a well-organized resistance could stand against even the most powerful colonial empires. Today, he is remembered as a symbol of resistance, a man who stood against the might of two colonial empires and changed the course of history. In Morocco, he remains a legendary figure, especially among the Amazigh, Berber people, who see him as a national hero. Conclusion: Abdelkrim El Khattabi was more than a warrior. He was a strategist, a leader, and a visionary who shook the foundations of European colonialism. His story is one of courage, resilience, and an undying fight for freedom, an epic tale that deserves to be told. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel and help us bring more powerful historical stories to life.